You're listening to Systemic Era Podcast. The failure was designed.
1 million space cuts. Superyacht sales are somehow exploding, based on an article by Sabrina Hawk. Trump's economy is a transfer machine. The people in charge. The source story is plain about one thing. The damage is not accidental. Trump made the decisions. Republicans passed the law. The cabinet and staff he selected are loyalists, not competent advisors, which is why the White House is left to sell obviously false stories about prices, tariffs, and the economy instead of managing them. That is the center of the political picture. Not confusion, not drift. A governing coalition chose to concentrate power upward, then shifted the costs downward. The bill was the point. The big beautiful bill is not a budget document in any morally serious sense. It is a redistribution scheme with a flag on it. According to the source, it strips hundreds of billions from SNAP, cuts health care, education, and student loan services, and uses the savings to finance tax breaks for the wealthy. That is the policy. Everything else is decoration. The beneficiaries are not hidden. The law rewards high earners, large corporations, and luxury asset holders, while working families absorb the damage. If a bill gutting food assistance and health coverage to subsidize the rich is called beautiful, the label is not propaganda by accident. It is the propaganda. Blame is cover. Trump's favorite move is to break things, then blame Biden for the wreckage. The source says he is still calling the affordability crisis a hoax and a democratic fabrication, even as his tariffs, his war in Iran, and his signature tax law push prices higher and spread the pain through energy, travel, borrowing, food, and health care. This is not just dishonesty. It is strategic misdirection. Trump's political operation depends on a public distracted from causality. He needs voters to feel the cost but not trace the source. He needs Republicans in gerrymandered districts to avoid accountability by hiding behind a lying script that keeps the blame pointed at a predecessor who is no longer in office. The costs move downward. Tariffs on steel, aluminum, and clean energy inputs raise operating costs, and those costs land on consumers. The war in Iran pushes up oil-linked prices, which means gasoline, diesel, heating oil, airfare, and mortgage costs rise together. The SNAP cuts hit poor households first. Medicaid cuts and new work reporting rules do the same. This is not a side effect of the GOP agenda. It is the mechanism. The pattern is familiar. Privatize the gains, socialize the pain, then call the results discipline. The source notes that the same political class can afford tax gifts for superyachts and private jets, while telling families that food aid and health coverage are somehow excessive. That is not fiscal seriousness. It is class warfare dressed up as administrative virtue. The police state budget. The article also points to massive spending on IC and on building a police state, while debt still climbs. That matters because coercion is now part of the Republican economic model. When a government cannot justify its material program, it expands its punitive one. It spends to punish migrants, intimidate the poor, and enforce hierarchy. E should be abolished, not reformed. An agency built to terrorize vulnerable people is not a governance problem with a training issue. It is an authoritarian instrument with a badge, a real pattern. What this story reveals is not just incompetence. It is a governing style that relies on extraction, denial, and moral inversion. The people with actual power make the decisions, deliver the costs to everyone else, and then insist that the victims are imagining the harm or voting against their own interests. That is the political meaning of the Trump economy, a redistribution upward enforced by lies, budgets, tariffs, and state violence. The country is not being mismanaged by mistake. It is being rearranged on purpose. You've been listening to Systemic Error. Thanks to Alternet for today's article, with the automated voice of Liberts. Thanks for listening.